This is the audio to accompany this week's newsletter, which is in the Lead Your Practice series called Beyond Human Scale. And this is very much for thought leaders running commercially successful practices. But this one today might be more useful for anybody, so feel free to pass it on. Brené Brown was on a podcast, and I listened to her talk about how the scale of our modern lives and our ambitions, our responsibilities, like our exposure, is beyond human scale. And that the world is asking things of us that are bigger than we are, especially in this coming decade of disruption. We're definitely being stretched. And this idea kind of stayed with me. It made me think of the importance of each of us as thought leaders in the world. So you doing the work you do. And I just wanted to say it's no small thing. Very few people would stand up and do this. They'd fit in, get the security and safety maybe of a job, or the whole idea that, you are your brand and you've got to back yourself is huge. And it's no small thing. It also made me think and reflect on what it's like to run the mentoring community that is the business school with 100 lit up, brilliant humans. And it's demanding, it asks a lot. It made me reflect on what it means to help young adults find their place in the world, like especially against the backdrop of like housing affordability and, am I future proof? So what's the uncertainty of the future of work? And I think, like many of us, as I watch the world stage, I'm wondering what the long-term consequences of the system shakedown that we're experiencing sort of geopolitically is. And it sort of made me pause and ask a question. What is this moment asking of me? And I wonder if that's one we should all sit with at this moment. And the following question is, am I right-sized for it? Am I learning enough? Am I doing enough? Do I have the best health stack? From nutrition through to sleep, through to exercise and blood works. Do I have the mindset to thrive? And do I have the life infrastructure that'll help me not just survive, but thrive through this era of turbulence? And I guess here's what I've landed on. The first one is this, that intimacy is an advantage. And so get good at getting close, not just commercially, although there's smart practice in being close to your clients and customers. But I also mean emotionally and relationally too. And that means doing your own work so you can show up regulated, clear, and perhaps less triggered. It means navigating codependency, narcissistic dynamics, and psychological safety without letting any of them hijack your relationships. And I do think boundaries are key. And as it's often said, boundaries don't keep people out, but they actually make it safer for people to stay close in appropriate and sustainable ways. So the first idea is that intimacy is an advantage. Who can you get closer? How can you be better to be closer to? I think the second principle is this idea that there's nothing to prove. And I think a big part of operating above the line as the best version of yourself is learning to trust your deep inner knowing. And that often means letting go of old patterns, that, the need to be right, to be seen as powerful or perfect, or to prove your worth. There is a subtle violence in parts of the personal development world that sort of reinforces the belief that I'm not enough or I'm too much. And we get caught on the swing of self-esteem. Terry Real, the family therapist and author of Us, Getting Past You and Me and Building a More Loving Relationship, describes this as the trap of either moving one up or one down in our relationships. The goal, he suggests, is to be in right relationship, not above, not below, but alongside. So without all the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and how we need to show up, what's left is a calm, confident, and compassionate self. And these are qualities that IFS model codes as the core self, something worth really referencing. I'll put some references down below in the written version. So if the first sort of idea was that intimacy is an advantage in this moment, and the second is that you've got nothing to prove, the third is get good at holding bigger space. So make space for yourself, like room to breathe, to think, to just be, and offer that same space to others. Be with the person, not just the behavior. Now, this isn't just a productivity tip or a business tip. It's a deeper philosophical shift, and it's an invitation to maybe release the separate scent of self that's so deeply in our materialistic society. The idea is that, there's a me in here talking to you out there. In chatter, Professor Ethan Kross talks about cultivating awe and wonder as tools for regulating our internal dialogue. And similarly, in the podcast, The Great Turning, Joanna Macy and Jessica Sarante have a powerful idea. They say, we don't go back to nature, that we are nature. We belong to the world and we're not apart from it. And this is part of that idea of holding bigger space, and that wonder and awe might be gateways into how you do this. And if all of this feels like a lot, it is. So get your health stack in place, use AI wisely as a thinking companion, align your work offerings, your practice and your clusters with what you care about most, and then get closer, be better, and hold bigger spaces, because this we can count on.